Hi guys, it's clock time. Little quiz for you to start it off. What time is it? 8:30, that's right. Let's do two more. Here's a tricky one. What time is it? The minute hand's on the 30. The hour hand's between the 12 and the 1. That's right, it's 12:30. What time is it? The minute hand's on the 30. The hour hand's between the 4 and the 5. So it's 4:30. Excellent! You guys are doing a great job at reading time to the half hour. This week, you're going to learn how to write time to the half hour on the analog clock. Last week, you did a great job at writing time to the half hour on the digital clock. This week, you're going to practice writing time to the half hour on the analog clock. So I'm going to bring you up to my clock up here. Here's my clock. My numbers, 12 on the top. Then we count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I've got my minute hand, my big hand, and my hour hand, my little hand, ready to go. All right, my first time that I am going to write is I need to write 7:30. Let's see if I can do it. All right, so I'm going to take my big minute hand and I'm going to point it. I know it should point right at the 6. Then I'm going to take my minute hand, or my hour hand, sorry, and it says 7:30, so I know that it should be between the 7 and the 8. It's not 7 o'clock anymore, but it's not 8 o'clock yet. It is 7:30. All right, let's do one more. Let's make what time did I make? That's right, 10:30. All right, let's make it on our clock. I know that my minute hand needs to go on the 30, on the 6. And my hour hand needs to point between the 10 and what comes next? 11. My hour hand needs to point between the 10 and the 11. Good job. Okay, let's see if I can do it with my markers now. What time is on my first clock? That's right, 1:30. Just a minute. All right, so I'm going to make my minutes on my clock first. So we know that at the 12, it's 00 minutes, and at the 6 is 30 minutes. So I know that my minute hand needs to point all the way down through the 6 at the 30 minutes. My hour hand needs to point between the 1 and what number comes after 1? 2. So my hour hand needs to point between the 1 and the 2. And I find the easiest way is to put a little dot between the 1 and the 2, then connect it with the dot in the middle of the analog clock, and then draw your arrows. So there is 1:30. All right, let's do the next one. What time do I want on my second clock? That's right, 5:30. So come over to my clock. Let's write our minutes. 30 minutes at the 6, 00 minutes at the 12. I know I'm making time to the half hour, so my minute hand points right through my 6, and my hour hand has to point between the 5 and the, that's right, between the 5 and the 6. So watch, I'm going to put a little dot between the 5 and the 6. Then I'm going to connect it with the big dot in the middle of the analog clock, and then draw my arrows. There is 5:30. One more. What time is it? 10:30. Okay, so I know my minutes are 30 and 00 at the 12. So my minute hand needs to point down through the 6 at 30 minutes. And my hour hand needs to point between the 10 and the 11. So again, going to put a little dot between the 10 and the 11, and then connect the dot to the dot in the middle. Then draw my arrows. And there is 10:30. So this week, you have 2 digital activities where you're matching the digital time to the analog time, and the third activity is you're going to make the analog time by reading the digital time. You've got 3 different hands that you could use, and you have to figure out how to make 1:30. So if I take this first hand and I stop at where the dot is, does that look like 1:30? No, that's right. It's 1 o'clock, and that's not what we want. So we're going to put it back. What about this one? What time is that? Looks like 3:30 or 2:30. Is that 1:30? No. Put it back. Okay, let's do the next one. Does that look right? Yes. My minute hand is pointing down at the 6 at the 30 minutes, and my hour hand is pointing between the 1 and the 2 for 1:30. So this activity has lots of different times. It might have some o'clocks that you can make, and it also will have some more time to the half hour. There is one printing activity, if you can print it out, and then you can draw the time on the analog clock to the half hour just like I did. Or you can just draw the time on a piece of paper, or I have a whiteboard. If you can't print it out, get your families to help you draw a circle. Then put the 6 on the bottom of the circle, a 12 at the top of the circle, a 3 on the right hand side, and a 9 on the left hand side, and then fill in the rest of the numbers. 1, 2, 3 I already did, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then if I put my dot in the middle, I have now made my own analog clock. And I can show the time. So if I put the time, 8:30, now I'm going to draw it. I know that my minute hand is going to point at the 30 minutes, and my hour hand is going to point between the 8 and what comes next? The 9. My minute hand is going to point, I'm going to put my little dot between the 8 and the 9, and there is 8:30. So have fun writing time this week.